video where I'm joined by Paul Nicholson, property entrepreneur and landlord of Luxor Group, and I thought Paul would be a really interesting person to talk about how to scale up your property business, because many of us, including myself, we get to a certain plateau, I suppose, with our buy-to-let investments, and then we kind of stall, and very often it's to do with lack of finance or understanding how to get finance, how to structure everything. Now, Paul, you actually went through that process, didn't you? You got to 80 standard single occupancy buy-to-let properties in your sole trader name, and then you kind of stalled. So how did you get past that?
Well, I first stalled when I got to about 15 properties, and that was the first time, and I was wondering where to go and how do you go forward. And when I had a look at my portfolio, when I realised I was missing a trick. I had, they were done to an average standard, but doing them to a better standard, adding little finishes, maybe creating the extra bedroom, really helped me add that extra little bit of value. And obviously, once you've re-geared the investment, got the better income, added the value, you can go and release a bit of capital, with a good bank. And that helped me get to the next stage. When I really started taking off, I was, doing very well, but it was difficult. I found it difficult to really move on to the next level, and that's when I started taking on new people into my team. It was very important to find the right people who you can work with, very knowledgeable and good at what they do. I'm a bit of a control freak, so I found it very hard to let go. But after a while, I put my trust in them, and then I could focus my time on doing better things that I'm good at doing, finding sites for these people then to work on. So that really put me into the next level.
Because you were self-managing, as you said, and then you brought on your staff, but you're very systems orientated, aren't you? So did it help that you had all these systems in place to actually then be able to pass those over to other people to manage?
Yeah, definitely. So we had a continuity throughout the business. We could see what each other were doing. There was no slips or anything missed because everything was filed in a sensible order. But also, by sitting down and going through the system, and I was bringing expert people on, they could show me the errors of my ways and how to do things better. So now we've got a really streamlined system that works very well for us.
So you were very open to other people's input as well, because I do think that's important.
Yeah, I think you've got to be. Obviously, we all like to think we do our ways are right, but when you do take on new staff and bring people into your business, you're bringing them for a reason because they're the best at what they do. So you've got to trust and believe in them. And I'm not paying them to tell them how to do their job. I'm paying them to tell me how to do their job. They're doing your job. So that's how we go forward.
Yes, no, I totally subscribe to that attitude. I really do. Now, how did you kind of go from your standard buy-to-lets to start into your really big development and refurbishment projects? Because I would imagine, I know I would find that really scary. How did you take that jump?
Well, the next jump from the usual buy-to-let, terraced house, etc., was to buy the block of flats, the 5 or 6. You're still on a smallish level, but it was the next step up. But having a real understanding of what you're doing. So when I cut my teeth on the terraced houses back in the day and I was learning little bits here and there, then you go on to your next slightly bigger one. It's all a learning curve. I think if you jumped into the deep end, so to speak, straight away, I think you could find yourself in for a little bit of a disaster. So it is taking your time, building sensibly.
You obviously started out as a landlord, and then do you feel that you kind of evolved into a property investor? And, what sort of mindset is that?
Yeah, we started off buying the buy-to-lets. It was to supplement my usual wage. And then I also when I finished a refurbishment project, it was a great feeling to look back and see what you've accomplished. And I think that was the addiction really for me, is when you stand back and, you see you can see when you've took a bit of mud, say, into a great luxury kitchen, there's a lot of pride to be taken there.
And you're somebody that also very much believes in kind of finding the angle, finding the niche and sticking at it and do it really well.
Yeah, I've always believed that, it's not about doing something totally different to someone else, but, finding a slight angle and being the best at what you do and doing things properly. I think, if you take that on board, I think you can never really go too far wrong.
So now you've got your staff, you've got your own lettings agency to manage all your own properties, you've got that support you need. That has, I guess, given you quite a bit more time. How are you going to invest your time to develop the business going forwards?
So my time's now being spent working with agents, trying to find new deals, liaising with banks to see where we can obviously exit our next development, because as I say, we don't sell anything. So when we do these larger developments, we've got to work alongside banks to obviously so we can help recirculate our cash back into the business.
Fantastic. So just to finish, I guess, people watching this, we have a lot of discussions on property tribes about, becoming a full-time landlord or moving up onto bigger scale projects. What would be your sort of number one piece of advice for somebody that's really looking to develop their property investing career?
I think it's a very scary move, obviously, if you've got that nice bit of income coming from a wage. But if you've got, you're in there, you're doing it anyway, you're doing it well, I think you've got to really trust and believe in yourself that you will take it to where you want to be.